Hello, everybody. I forgot to move my mic up. Welcome to our live. Today's live, we are going over Mars in Cancer. We're going to go through what this means for all 12 signs of the zodiac, and that's what we're doing. I'm really excited to be here today, and I'm also very, very, very happy that when Mars enters Cancer, it's no longer squaring Saturn. Yay! Give me a comment in the chat if you had a rough month in August. And I am just 1000% with you if you did, because it was hard on me. And I know it was hard on a lot of us. So, yeah, if you have felt that way, then you're just right on schedule with the transits and everything. Okay, so like I said, what we are doing today is we're going through the forecast for Mars in Cancer for all signs of the zodiac. And also, it's the new moon. Today is the 2nd. It's the new moon in Virgo. New moon, new you. Really good time to, if you are someone who likes to manifest with the new moons, if you like to, call in that energy, that new fresh energy to plant seeds and set intentions, you can do so. I haven't even looked at the aspects though. But I think the point though I wanted to make about that is that for the new moon, this would be the last new moon before eclipse season. So you will probably, if you like to manifest, excuse me, with the new moons, use this one in Virgo, because it's not recommended to manifest during eclipses because eclipse energy is volatile, and it's like it's just not something to bring into your life. It's recommended to meditate if you're going to work with the energy of an eclipse, to like be clear and calm and not really set aspirations at that time. It doesn't mean you can't do that at other times. Anyway, that being said, happy new moon in Virgo. Welcome to September 2024. We're going to go through Mars in Cancer and again what it means for all 12 signs of the zodiac. But I have a special announcement, and that is that I have a new course that is starting this month. It's called Unlock Your Aspects. It's a 6-week introductory live course on how to read aspects yourself. So it's about being able to read them in your chart or for the charts of other people. And I'm going to give you the tools to read an aspect. So when you want to know what an aspect means, you're not just looking up what someone else's definition is, and you're able to take the pieces apart and interpret it yourself. So yeah, I'm going to give you the essential tools. So when you're reading an aspect, you know where to start. I'm going to give you a framework. I'm going to help you with the role planets play and all the pieces you're missing. Because what happens oftentimes when people are reading aspects is they will just learn and learn and learn, and they hit a wall, where aspects is the wall that you hit if you don't know how to put the pieces together in astrology. And so if you are studying astrology and you hit a wall of aspects, this will help you get over the wall. If you just want to learn how I do it, then do it. Then join us. It's 6 weeks. It's live. There's going to be instant access to like over 10 hours of content that I've already made on the signs, the planets, dignities, and North and South nodes, and Pluto and Chiron. And then we're going to do 6 weeks of live instruction where we're going over like house rulership, how planets work together. And so it's really designed to teach you to delineate your own interpretation that you won't find in a book. So if you want to join that, I'm actually going to put the link in the chat. I would love to see you in there. And there is a link in the description as well. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into our forecast. I'm noticing I asked earlier, for anyone just jumping on, I asked how many of you felt the energy of August not in such a positive way? And Janny is saying, yeah, many things happened in August. I definitely had a lot of stress and tension, and I know a lot of other people did too, where just depending on where Saturn and Mars were hitting your chart. But like I said, I'm normally not excited about Mars entering Cancer, but I am this time because that means it's no longer in Gemini, which means we may not have like magical solutions to the problems that happen in August, but we at least get some relief from the tension. So that should be enjoyable. So let's go ahead and start on our forecast, and to start with our, what are we starting with? Aries. So we're going to go through, like I said, for Mars in Cancer. Mars in Cancer happens on the 4th. So it's in 2 days from today, of the day of the broadcast, if you're watching this live. And if you're watching after the fact, look in the comments, or look in the comments for timestamps. You can watch your sun, moon, and rising. And I feel like I was going to tell you guys something about Mars in Cancer. Maybe I wasn't. Gosh. Let me think for a second. No, I wasn't. Okay, so I mean, Mars in Cancer kind of gets a bad rap for being like unable to fight, right? Because like for anyone who understands dignity, who has heard like Mars doesn't do so well in Cancer. Why? Because Mars wants to fight and Cancer wants to love and be taken care of and nurture. And so when you get the sign of the fighter, the planet of the fighter, in the sign of the nurturer, you get someone who doesn't want to get mad at you or doesn't want you to be mad at them, which is fine, except for when you need to be mad, right? And then when you do need to be mad, it's so surrounded in emotions that it's not effective. It doesn't mean Mars and Cancer people are bad. It means that doing Martian things like fighting or like, cutting someone off or stopping talking to someone or doing things you need to do sometimes to separate is going to be harder or less effective. So it might be harder to say, I want to break up with you, things like that, because those separations are Martian, and Mars doesn't want to do Mars stuff when it's in Cancer. It wants to do Cancer stuff. It wants to cry and take care of people. This is why Mars in Cancer gets this rap of being protective, because that's what they want to do. They want to protect you. They want to take care of you and nurture you. So don't think that it's a bad Mars, but it does have its challenges. And collectively, what we might experience when Mars goes into Cancer is we might feel like, we might just feel more concerned with the welfare of other people. That would be like a good, sorry, what do you mean, Jenny? Can you say that again? I don't understand. So sorry, that would be like a good thing. There's good things about Cancer. Mars in Cancer has tenacity and will hang on to things and will not let go. Sometimes Cancer people too have really good business sense or good intuition. So there's positive things about every single thing. So we might find that we are hanging on to something longer. We might find that we are protecting and defending a space, like whoever we're protecting and defending. And we also might find that we might have certain experiences with someone being passive aggressive in our life, or we might have certain experiences with just kind of emotional outbursts or something, if it's really doing its worst that it can be doing. So that being said, let's go ahead and we're going to get into the signs. So we're going to start with Aries, and then we are going to move on to through all the signs till we get to Pisces. Okay. Let me get our chart set up. And okay, our chart is set up. We're looking at the 4th. So like I said, Mars enters Cancer September 4th, and here we go. We have Aries. For Aries, Mars entering Cancer is going into your 4th house of home, family, emotional foundations, and it's kind of a private place. So you can expect to see things starting to pick up at home. Sometimes when Mars goes through people's 4th house, they're redecorating, they're, getting a new deck or a pool, or, fixing up their garage or something. So you could be more active at home during the time that Mars is in Cancer. Now that could be because you're physically like working out or doing other projects around the house that are demanding your attention, or, because it's Cancer, doing things that protect and defend your home more often. I don't think this means that you're going to have invaders kind of a thing, but just maybe more caretaking that keeps you busy as well could be a thing that happens. Now, let's say you don't have kids and like your home is fine and that's not an issue. For some Aries, this might be when Mars enters Cancer, you find that you're more motivated to deal with emotional things, and with Saturn in the 12th, it kind of beckons you to your own silent meditation. It kind of beckons you to get quiet within and embrace the darkness within yourself, and like, just sit with silence and sit with just silence, So Mars in the 4th might make you almost like busy sitting with silence, like filling your time with meditation, or filling your time with things that are more introspective and contemplative and emotional concerns. You might be trying to get to the root cause of emotional things. So that energy might be beginning. Now keep in mind, because you're an Aries rising, Mars is you. And so because Mars is you, we're going to see you in the 4th house. You may be having more privacy. You may be feeling like staying home more. Again, having stuff to do at home. Maybe, you're just physically busy doing stuff. Okay, so let's think about what else is happening at this time. Let me think here. Yeah, I think that with Mars in the 4th house, other things that can be coming up during this time, during the transit of Mars in Cancer, is going to be where, you might be more needing to focus either on family matters or of things that are related to like taking care of your parents, if that applies to your life right now. Or dealing with things related to your hometown or your family. So it's like dealing with family affairs, dealing with family matters. There could be a little bit of conflict kicking up in family things, or you could just be going back to your hometown at some time during this transit. Either way, for Mars, for Aries, there is... and another thing too for Aries is this one, it will affect you more strongly because this is the planet that rules you, which means that like you're gonna feel it. You know what I mean? Like Aries, you're gonna feel the feeling, the shift probably significantly from Gemini to Cancer. And so remember that when Mars was in Gemini with Jupiter, all of us are just trying to do everything at once. So now that Mars has shifted, Aries, you may find the pace changes from trying to do everything at once in all directions to now being able to cling to, grab onto. I'm imagining that crab's little, what is it called? The little, why can't I think of it? Claw. Grab something with your crab claw and hang on to it. Whereas the feeling we've had with Mars going through Gemini, with Jupiter there and expanding that, is like, let's do everything all at once and like in all directions. And for all of us, multitasking and not being able to focus was an issue. So one of the things Mars in Cancer may actually help us with is being able to focus, being able to figure out which of all the things you were doing the last month or so when Mars was in Gemini. It was a little longer than that. But like what all these different things that felt maybe a little bit scattered, now it's like collecting it all, focusing in on the thing that you want, latching onto that, committing to that, only focusing on that, or mainly focusing on that, and then treating it like a baby and nurturing it and giving it what it needs to grow. Whether it's a baby, whether it's in business, whether it's romance, sports, whatever you got going on. But then because it's in the fourth house, the kind of nurturing you're going to do to whatever seeds you're planting right now, Aries, is going to be the kind that is private. Okay, so this is a time where, now I don't even see it as a bad thing, but it's like it's either private or it's focusing on an emotional goal, an emotional goal or a caretaking goal. Okay. So that is what I have for Aries. Check out my aspects course, and we're going to move on to the next sign, which is Taurus. Okay, for Taurus, sun, moon, and rising, we are going to talk about Mars entering Cancer. Let me set my timer though. Okay. Yes, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising, Mars enters Cancer and goes into your third house. So let's talk about what it was it doing here before in the second house, where it was with Jupiter, lots of action and activity around making money. So if you have been busier than usual lately, hustling and, getting your side hustle on, or just doing overtime, or being busier at work, or putting a lot more focus on money, or even just spending more money, then now might be a time where that energy shifts a bit. And now we're looking at, okay, now we are focusing more on learning on our commute. Okay, so for some Tauruses, your commute could change during this time. Like you have to drive more, or you want to drive more, or you have more of a pain in the ass construction on your way to work or something. This could also be you like running through your neighborhood, or, you being more physically active in your actual neighborhood for any reason. With your neighbors, hopefully don't get in a fight with your neighbors. But really, Mars in the third, less crazy money growth. I still see the potential for financial growth with Jupiter there, but it's like now maybe you're at a stage where it's like, all right, what are we learning next? What are we studying? You could be taking a course during this time. You could be writing during this time. Writing goes in the third house. Now that writing, it could be different for everyone, right? So some of you might be journaling or doing the artist way or something, but some of you might be like writing emails more for work, or writing a book you're going to publish someday, or, anything you would write. This Mars in Cancer can be writing, but it can also be like, and it's actually, I would say this is a good time for Taurus who would just want to write a book, or you want to start a writing project. Mars in the third is not a bad time to start that, because it puts your motivation toward that. And it's like, that would be one way to funnel that energy, especially because if you want to write with emotion, you want to write with emotion. Okay. So, that's the first part for Tauruses. So now we're going to think about what Mars rules, your 12th house of isolation and your 7th house of partnership. Well, partnership is much more significant. So let's start there. Partnership goes into the third house. And what does it mean? If you are single, maybe you have more of a potential during this transit to talk to people in your neighborhood and flirt it up, Taurus. If you are coupled, maybe your partner has you driving all over the place, running errands for them. Go you and your partner are solving problems together. Maybe your partner drives you places. Maybe you have a partner who's helping you go places, or who's supporting you and like nurturing you, or somehow you two are together writing something, or you're having more conversations. If you're in a relationship, having that 7th planet, sometimes it is your partner. Maybe your partner has to commute more for work and they're busier and they got some overtime and they have to drive places, or that now they gotta like drop off the money at the bank after work every day. It could be something super regular like that. But either way, Mars going into the third, Taurus, the good thing to know about this is that Because Mars is one of the challenging planets, when it goes into your third, depending on what's in your third house, it can actually make it less bad. However, I will say if you have a sibling who goes nuts on you or is psycho or likes to yell at you and scream at you, this might be a time where that energy sort of is highlighted, unfortunately, because Mars can be whoever is in this house. So this could be siblings or cousins. So, I mean, maybe you get in a fight with a sibling or a fight with a cousin at this time. That's not going to be everybody. And this is not like huge danger, watch out, run away energy to me. It's a general reading. Everyone's chart is different. But that's something that it could be. Let's talk now, though, about what the 12th house ruler going into the third house might mean. It might mean you're writing emotional stuff about how you feel. That is stuff that maybe you don't have a place to put it. And what I mean by that is, like, if you are really upset and something in the past that you were upset about that you couldn't really do anything about, maybe now will be a time where you are able to just journal out your actual feelings and get them out. Maybe you are writing a memoir or you're writing about something that involves 12th house stuff, which would be maybe addiction or maybe mental health stuff or maybe spiritual maladies or psychological pain, right? So like writing about psychological pain or writing out things or exploring, just wanting to know things that are going to help you. Now, for some reason, I get this feeling for someone out here that this could also be more of a physical experience. Mars in the third could actually be, I wouldn't ever say Mars in the third is someone working out necessarily, because that's not really the house where we would see that. But for some reason, the feeling I get here is that it's almost like I get the feeling of someone who's like doing yoga, and then while they're doing yoga, they remember something, or like they have an emotional release and start crying. If that happens, I think it's just right on schedule. And so if you are going for that, if you are trying to have some kind of emotional release, this might be a good time. I mean, like privately or whatever is appropriate, because of that. So let me think what else. Yeah, seventh house ruler in the third. Maybe, some Tauruses are writing out how they have felt in the past about relationships. But again, it could also be like your partner and you go on day trips and you start driving around or ride bikes in your neighborhood or do something physical, like ride bikes, rollerblade, anything like active, or like that, it could just be like if you have a baby, you're taking your baby out in the stroller, and you're getting active in your neighborhood, and it's Cancer energy of protecting. So overall, Mars entering Cancer for Taurus is definitely going to be a shift in energy and a shift in focus from, what are you spending? What do you have? What do you own? Getting more stuff or making more money, versus now it doesn't mean you stop making money, but that maybe something shifts where it's a little calmer. This feels a little calmer to me for you. Although Mars can always rile stuff up wherever it is in the chart for all of us, but it does feel a little calmer. So that is what I have for Taurus, and we're going to go on to our next sign, which is going to be our what's after Taurus, Geminis. Oh, another thing, everyone who is jumping on, is that the monthly is out. So if you want to check out your forecast for September, I will say that during that when I was recording that, like my back had just went out. So if I just seemed like I'm not in the mood, I was not in the mood. But I actually had someone make a really negative comment about how like I lost my mojo or something. I'm like, no, my back just went out. And I was definitely not a happy camper. Today's the first day I feel like, oh my gosh, maybe I feel okay now. So that is that. So let's go on now to our Geminis. We have Gemini. Mars enters that second house, so money might start burning a hole in your pocket. When Mars is in the second house, it is easy to spend. It's easy to spend all your money. Now, for some of you, maybe this is planned and it's fine because you want to, and you know it's a good idea for you, and you know it's just what you want to be doing, and there's no issue here. Okay, so for some of you, it's like that. For others of you, you want to watch out when Mars is in your second house that you're spending your money consciously, because it can just be so easy. It just goes, man. Now, it can also be you just having more focus on money, and that can be good too, right? It could be Geminis are like launching something or working more or putting more focus on where their money's going or what they're doing to make money. You can, when Mars is in your second house during the transit, you may have to work harder to make money. And that is just kind of how that goes. Let me see. I want to see how long this is. I wish I had done this before. So Mars stays in Cancer till February, and it goes retrograde in December, which means you're going to have a long time of feeling this energy, of feeling what it's like when Mars is in Cancer, of feeling the energy of hustling or spending lots of money or focusing a lot on what you have and what you own and maybe how to nurture it or take care of it. So, some Geminis might be working more hours, putting in more time at work, especially with Saturn in the 10th. This gives me the feeling of like having to put in a lot more, like that whatever you're working on at work is like requiring more from you, requiring more and maybe going slower than expected, requiring some sacrifices. Maybe you can't do all 27 work projects you want to do. You have to pick the one you want to do because you only have time for one. Maybe the project you're doing requires a lot more research, or it's going slow, or, it has to go through a bunch of red tape to get approved and stuff. So those are some of the kind of themes we can see. And with Mars in the second, it's like working harder on a project that just isn't budging. It doesn't mean it won't, but that you might not feel the motivation during this time. There just might be more energy required to accomplish the same result in career, or to, do some things that are like sort of like working up to a goal. So for that, let's see what else I can see here for this transit. Also let's consider that Mars was in Gemini in your sign, still making you busy, but now it's like you might be busy, but if you are, it's money focused. So again, some Geminis might be, focusing on how they're spending it or what a project at work and putting a lot of energy into that project, but others might be focusing on your actual physical things because your stuff goes in the second house. So what are you doing with your stuff? Are you collecting it? Are you cleaning it? Are you organizing it? Are you taking care of it? Are you putting it somewhere or buying it or just buying a bunch of it or like getting rid of some of it? There's energy, a lot of energy around what you have and what you own. If you sell products in what you do for work, it could also have to do with that. Like getting product out, like getting it out and like pushing it out, or, creating relationships with people who are going to buy the next products. Okay, but it's usually physical products. All right. Okay. What else am I going to tell you, Gemini? So instead of going all directions at once and trying to do all the things, there is a potential to work with, or just to have naturally at this time, really latching onto the one thing that is the right thing when it comes to what you're doing financially in life at this time. Now, Mars also rules your 11th house and it rules your 6th house. So let's start with the 11th. The 11th house is the house of friends, groups, hopes, and dreams, and it's in your second house. This is actually a relatively good thing because what it can mean for some out there is money. Money goes into your bank account. But with Saturn in the 10th, it doesn't feel like easy, free, quick money. It feels like you're working overtime and you get paid more or something like that. It's money from the work you've done. And It might not be a ton because Mars doesn't do well in Cancer. So I'm not predicting you have huge lottery wins at this time, but I do think that for Geminis, especially if you've been working hard on something, this might be a time where you get something for it, during this time. And, keep in mind that retrograde coming up in December might be a time where you're reevaluating whatever you're doing, especially if you're launching something to an audience. If you're not, then who your friends are and who you're hanging around and what groups you're participating in whatever level that matters. And because Mars is your 6th house ruler, this really makes this all about your career and the time you're spending. It's almost like maybe you make money based on how many problems you solve at this time, right? Because the 6th house is really about kind of like fixing stuff or dealing with day-to-day things. Usually, financially, when we see the 6th ruler in the 2nd, it tends to be a good sign. Breakfast for dinner, you can always see what sign I'm on because it's always the one that is here on the page. Whenever I'm on a sign, it's going to be the one where the ascendant is. So we're on Gemini. Okay, so going back to, 6th ruler in the 2nd tends to be positive for money. 11th ruler in the 2nd also tends to be pretty good for money. Although I will say it doesn't mean like, bam, you're going to be rich kind of a thing. Just whatever your baseline is in your own life is going to determine some of that. And then when we get to December, that retrograde for Geminis might be really asking you to consider how much time you are spending to make money and, what you're getting for it. And does it match? Because with Saturn here, it feels like there might be a disconnect there. You might have a lot to do for your job. For those who aren't working, and you're like, this has nothing to do with me. Well, maybe it has to do with how you're spending your day-to-day time and whether you're getting value out of the things you're doing. So that would be how that goes. So I think now is a good time to go on to our next sign, which is going to be our Cancers. And let me know in a comment, Gemini, if that made sense. I always love hearing from you guys. Check out the monthly forecast if you want more. And be sure to get into my aspects course. You guys need to get in there because it's awesome. And there's stuff you can, the live starts on wait, I have to look at the date. The 21st? Yeah, the 21st. And it's going to be so much fun. You get 6 weeks live with me and check it out. So going on now to our Cancers for what it means with Mars in Cancer. Well, it's your sign. It's you. So when Mars goes into your sign, you are busy. Now it's your 1st house, so it's like maybe you're busy. Maybe you have a lot is being demanded of you. Maybe you're more physically active. You could be, it could be anything that makes you more physically active. You have to clean out a closet you don't normally do. It's nicer time of year, so you're getting outside more. You're consciously exercising, or your job is making you run around all the time you didn't used to, right? So you might notice a pick up the pace energy for Cancers because of that location. Now, Mars was in Gemini for you. So instead of feeling like you need to be all places at once and not even feeling like you can figure out how, if any Cancers felt like that last month, I think this Mars entering your 1st house at least will be, there's at least a feeling of like what you want to do kind of. Whereas when Mars goes through the 12th, it's like, what do I want? Am I psychoanalyzing myself? What am I afraid of? What am I mad about? It's like there's a little bit of a feeling with Mars in the 12th of it being very contemplative, being very introspective. So Mars in Cancer in the 1st puts Mars in more of an important place, which just means you're going to be doing more Mars stuff, like planning what your next moves are in life, making decisions. You might have a lot of decisions to make during this time. And those decisions might be about your career, or they might be about something you're passionate about, your creativity. If you have kids, your kids. And those areas of life are going to be loud, and you're going to be focusing on them. And you're probably going to have to take steps forward related to those areas. And maybe you really want to right now too as well. So Mars in Cancer brings that career focus into your life. So who am I? What do I do for my work? Sometimes that just means you're doing more work, or there's more of a focus on what your role is. And you're really embodying a role of, you could have a Martian role right now, which is like the one who says no to people. It's like you're everyone's mommy, but you have to say no to everyone. That could just be in whatever activities you're doing. But with Mars ruling the 10th and being in the first, you might actually be, some Cancers, not all of them, during this time might actually be like going out and doing like a meet and greet or something, or like needing to be sort of seen as what you do, like seen as your role. So I almost think of like going to some kind of fair for your work where you're like the one that like represents the job, or something along those lines, where your role at your work is something that becomes more significant when you are interacting with people or making a first impression on people. This is temporary, but Mars will be here until February. It's going to retrograde in December. So we have a long time with this energy. So whatever is happening around the 4th, especially related to work, kids, creativity, being more of a spotlight or needing to be nurtured, is something to kind of keep in mind, because this theme is going to be here for a while. So then let's talk about how the 5th house affects this Mars in the 1st and what that means. So maybe your creativity and self-expression, you're just simply more motivated to do it right now. Maybe some Cancers are creating something, and you're maybe it doesn't feel like publishing. It feels like coming out of your shell, the Cancer being the crab, coming out of your shell, and which is like the opposite of Cancer. Cancer wants to go in their own shell and not like avoid people, but just like have their safe space. So Mars ruling the 5th house, being in the 1st house is like, look at me. It kind of has the vibe of look at me. It kind of has the vibe of I'm going to make an impression. I'm going to go get something done. It's like you don't have to be super, combative about it. You're probably not going to be, because Cancers are super like easy to be around kind of usually. I mean, you guys are cool. I love all my Cancer rising clients. They're so nice to me. But like, basically that Mars going into the 1st house is like, Cancers, you're trying to get what you want right now. You're trying to accomplish something. You can't be having someone tell you their whole life story and like, you might have to tell them to stop when you're trying to do stuff. It might be good though. It might be good energy where you're like, yes, I'm going to go accomplish something. I'm going to go reach these goals. I'm going to set a sight to move. I'm going, Mars leaving that 12th house feels like there's a breath of fresh air here. And some of you might be nurturing something, but it's going to be different for all of you. Is it an actual child? Is it a project at work? Is it a project outside of work? Is it a creative passion? Is it a business? All of those things are possible here, and it's going to be all about how are you making your mark on the world, and what do you need to say no to during this time in order to say yes to the things that you want. Decisions is what I see coming for Mars and for Cancers, I mean. Okay, so let's go on to our next sign, which is our Leos. And Cancer, be sure to check out my aspects course in the link below. And moving on now to the sign of Leo. For Leos, we have Mars in your 12th house. Now, Mars going through the 12th house, first of all, might make you might be more private and introspective during this time. You might just want to not be quite so social, because when Mars was in that 11th house, you could have been more social. You could have been doing more, having more conversations with people around you, or kind of needing to be talking to everyone at once. And now either, this might be through your own choice or through other things, but you may feel like you want to just not do that anymore for a while. You might be like, nope, we're staying in having movie night every time I'm bored because I'm sick of it. It might be something like that. You might be focusing more on psychological things. So that would be like, limiting beliefs, trying to get to the root cause of what makes you angry, or, kind of taking time out to explore, to proactively engage in questions about, what upsets you and things that you normally don't have time to think about, and that could be because you're creating space for that, or it's just coming up. Now, the energy shift here is going to go from, I have to do everything at once and talk to everyone at once, to I'm only going to do one thing, or I'm only going to talk to one person at a time, or I'm going to be really present with these people, or I'm going to take care of myself, So there's I do like that sort of shift to more of a calm energy. And so that's something to kind of watch out for right around the 4th of September when Mars goes into Cancer is, what's changing in terms of your energy and where you're wanting to put it, and where you're wanting to focus your energy, right? Focusing in instead of focusing out. And other things to keep in mind, let's talk about, how Mars rules your 9th house and Mars rules your 4th house. So it's very much an introspective time from this perspective. You could be doing more stuff in your job for other planets and stuff, but just when we're thinking about Mars, it's like, what do I care about? What do I believe in? And maybe taking time to explore what you really believe in. Your beliefs and your faith might be the motivation to release some kind of anger or tension or, pain psychologically that you've felt. And your faith or your desire to kind of be closer to God or the universe or whatever you believe in might be the reason for you choosing to embark on a journey of self-discovery related to how you self-sabotage. There might be something going on there. Family dynamics and caring about the way you feel is all also motivating this. So Mars in the 12th can be you at home doing yoga by yourself, doing Tai Chi, doing some other physical movement that is designed to either make you feel more spiritual, not feel more spiritual, I don't want to say it like that, but like get closer to the divine, but privately, or understand more deeply and more clearly the ins and outs of your own subconscious mind, writing down your dreams and trying to remember them. Studying something related to the subconscious, like our hypnotherapy or something else where it's about going into altered states of consciousness, dream states and like the imaginary realm, and maybe it's not so imaginary. You might be actually, but Mars brings a physicality to it. So when I think of Mars in the 12th or Mars in the 9th, I think of you like giving an offering to a higher power, like going out in the woods and like praying to some God, or like doing a temple at your house, like bringing something physical into spirit, or offering something physical to spirit, or doing physical things for the purpose of cleansing, like doing breath work or something. Yeah, that's like a good example where the goal of breath work isn't to just breathe. It's like you're going to have an emotional release here. I'm never prescribing, diagnosing, or treating anything, but that's what I think about that. Overall, for Leos, Mars going into that 12th house is a quieter transit. Do not think this means that you can't work or you can't do things. It just means that your spiritual life and your home life are getting more attention and action and involvement, but that involvement and attention and action are going to be more behind the scenes, things that, are not public right now. So that's what I have for Leos. And we're going to go on to our next sign, which is going to be our Virgos. And I'm going to check the comments here. I think I saw one. Oh, yeah, David says, really enjoying this inner dive. Thank you. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. Kango, Pisces rising, hang in there. We'll get there. All right, everybody. So let's continue. Let's continue on to our Virgos. For Virgo, Mars enters that 11th house of friends, audiences, the public, groups. So this starts on the 4th. I know my thing says the 5th. Let me see. Actually, can I change it? Nope. Okay. So, but technically Mars does enter Cancer on the 4th of September. It will be there until February. It goes retrograde in December. Virgos, you got a lot of time with this energy. And I hope someone at your public space you go is not pissing you off right now, because actually this is my own rising sign as well. And I'm like, no. I think Mars, first of all, let's talk about the shift. Okay. The shift between Mars and Gemini for you and the shift to Mars and Cancer. Whatever you've been doing for work that's had you pulled in a million directions at once, whatever you've been doing for your job or for your career or for your business that is visible or that is, important, that's like been taking you where you've just maybe felt like you have to do it all at once. Now you might find more of an ability to focus in on the thing to do instead of doing them. Jupiter's still going to make you want to do all the things in your career, but Mars in Cancer, I think, will help in the sense that maybe you'll be able to focus in on the one thing that you want to do, or figure out what of all the things that were kicked up when Mars was in Gemini, which is probably a bunch of little details. Now maybe focusing in on that one thing and nurturing that one thing and treating it like a baby. And that one thing for Virgos, it might be something that involves groups. It might be something that involves intimacy and getting more, like creating almost like a container in a group. So I imagine because of the intimacy of the 8th house, almost like a transformational group that you're joining or starting or doing, or like a group where you're safe. I don't know. I don't think any Virgos are like unsafe, but like creating a group or creating a barrier or creating like a container, in some way in your life, or entering a container where you feel safe and protected, or other people feel safe or protected. And it might not be because someone's trying to shoot everyone or anything crazy like that. It might just be like getting exclusive with a certain group of people where you don't let all the riffraff in whatever, area of life matters to you. So let's say you had a Slack channel at your work. Maybe now you create a smaller one with just the people that need to be in it, so you don't get all the texts from all the random ass people who just cause problems, Like, just take that metaphor and apply it to what makes sense in your life or in your work. Some of you might be just doing one project instead of a bunch of them, and really pouring your love or your energy or your time and attention into that. And, for others of you, maybe there's more of an emotional actions related to other people. I feel like if you want to work with this transit, Virgo, for Virgos, I wonder if Mars in Cancer might be a good time for you to make actual friends. And I don't mean it like that. I'm so mean. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I was thinking of myself. But what I mean by that is to connect with people who really are kind and comforting and care, and make friends with people who have similar intentions or are not jerks, or, it does feel like somehow taking your friend group or taking the group of people that you are normally around and, creating a barrier where certain people can't get in. You're only going to hang out with the ones, or connect with the ones, or mastermind with the ones that are on the same page, doing the same type of thing, or not assholes, something like that. Okay, so apply that to how it fits for you. Now, Mars also rules your 3rd house of siblings. So for some Virgos whose sibling stuff is like an active topic right now, this might be your sibling. It's possible your sibling could be a little bit nicer to you, but they could also be really upset. So you might be getting, if your sibling might just be more upset right now. They might be more, let me think. I'm trying to think of how to say this universally. Like angry crying. They might be angry crying at you. It might not be about you. And some Virgos, this isn't going to be a thing. So don't worry if you're like, no, don't worry. But let's think about the 8th house a little more, because I feel for some reason, for Virgos especially, that there is a possibility of having some kind of a healing energy during this time. And what I mean by that is that 8th house for Virgos, that's the house of change and transformation. And when the planet of change goes through Gemini, it's like, I'm going to change through doing everything at once. And you don't end up changing very much because you didn't pick the thing you wanted to change. Mars now entering Cancer can help you change the thing you want to change, but you have to pick what it is or figure out what it is or really focus in on it. And so it does make me feel like there's the way to work with this energy for positive Virgo, because Mars is going to be here till February. So you kind of do want to, number one, pay attention to what happens in your friends, your groups, your hopes and dreams. If you have an audience, what happens with your audience around any classes you teach, anything you do with groups of people around the 4th of September, 4th, 5th, when Mars enters, is there like something that kind of foreshadows? And if it is, it's something you'll probably be dealing with until February. And so in December, it'll retrograde, so something might change around that. And then, it'll go direct and blah, blah, blah. We'll talk about that later. But the point here is more activity is brought to groups, to friends, to public life, to going out, to masterminding or networking. And I just feel like even though Mars in a sign can bring conflicts, I still see the positive potential of this transit for Virgos, supporting, really moving your social life if you need some movement there, because Cancer initiates, right? All the cardinal signs initiate, and Mars is in a sign that can initiate. So if you are someone who is like, I can never make friends, you can now. You can during this transit. You can initiate making friends with people. So it might be worth it to try, or to, join some groups you've been thinking about if you need to, or, network with other people and like support your goals and the goals of other people through connecting with others, because Jupiter's here really bringing more solutions related to work-related things, helping you find the right teaching or the right tools that are there and available to grow your business, grow your work, grow within the role you have at your job, improve in general, improve communication. And Mars is here in Cancer, you'll be busier or more motivated to change or transform through groups and maybe get closer to people through groups. So good time to join a group, Virgo, if I haven't said that enough. And the sibling stuff, just take that if it resonates. Other things about the 3rd house are writing. So some Virgos might be publishing writing, or I shouldn't say publish because that goes in the 9th house, but like some Virgos are going to be sharing their things they have written publicly. Or, that's the only way I can think of that like really having a straightforward connection. But it doesn't feel like you're going to start writing something you didn't before. Maybe you find you've already written something. This will be a time to put it out there. Or, something you came up with a script for, writing, reading things and like sharing information. Even though it's Cancer, it's still the 11th house of getting something you think about or getting something out to the public or out to the people. All right, I think that's good for Virgos, and we're going to move on now to our next sign, which is going to be our Libras. Okay, for Libras, we have you guys having Mars in the 10th house. So let's talk about what was happening when Mars was in your 9th house, where things could have been, okay, so I don't love 9th house stuff. I'm just going to be real with you, because we think it's going to be all meaningful. Like, yeah, we're going to connect with all our spiritual stuff. And my experience is that 9th house stuff makes you question it. It makes you go, am I believing the right thing? Especially in Gemini. So when Mars, Jupiter were in Gemini last month, especially mid-August, if you were feeling Libra, like, what do I believe? Do I believe this or do I believe this? And kind of flip-flopping and going back and forth. Well, maybe I should believe this. Maybe I should believe that. This thing happened. Now, how do I believe that anymore? It doesn't, I got to figure it out. That's what that feels like. And that can be one way it shows up. But you could have just been busier doing ninth house stuff, which is like taking a course, reading, studying, publishing, or doing something, attending to legal matters or court matters or traveling. And now, the thing is though, that even with that, there's still a feeling of like, oh, do I need to get this book or do I need to get this book if you're studying? There's still a feeling with having to multitask, or like, oh, I got to stop studying this and start studying that, and just kind of constantly being in motion, but feeling like you're going in circles a little bit. That's a normal feeling when Mars is in Gemini. So now that Mars goes into Cancer, it's like maybe taking something going on last month or at any time. But last month, maybe you got information on that now you're able to proceed with related to career. This might be a time too where you're busier at work, but it's like if you are, it's like you're nurturing one specific project or have a main goal that you're working toward. And let me think. Yeah, some of you, because Mars rules your 7th house, if you're a Libra in a relationship, maybe your partner's working more and they're more visible and their work life is the most public that it will be during this transit. So this goes from September 4th through February. So then if that is how you feel, and you feel like your partner's work life is affected, well, then it's probably going to be that long of a time. And then the retrograde's in December, so it's like something goes back or gets redone, and then it keeps going. But not everyone has a partner, so what if you're single? Well, then the 7th house could just be your friends or the people that you work with at work, having to get closer to them for work and being busy, or like connecting with people and getting to know the people at work, or fostering relationships with them, or nurturing the connections you already have, or it could also be a thing where like the work kind of stays the same, but then your sort of nurturing role at work, like how you take care of people or help people, or are there for them or make them feel better, is going to be like maybe stronger, something like that. So other ways this could show up, we got to look at that Mars also rules your 2nd house of money. So the money planet in the 10th house usually is not a bad sign. Usually it doesn't guarantee more money. Sometimes it's actually you investing into that house. So investing into your public image, that could be through paying money and investing, like making an investment, like purchasing a photographer if you have a business, and getting a headshot. So, stuff like that, where you're investing into your public image, investing time and energy into having the public image that you want. Now, this could be true even if you work a job where you're investing into your public image. You get a new shirt to wear to work or something, like any kind of way that could be happening, you're investing into it. And so you can invest money, you can invest time, you can invest things. So it's possible some Libras, like you give a coworker something, or you give people stuff at work, like you bring your physical things to work to take care of the other people. Maybe you're making brownies for the office or something. But I don't think this whole transit's going to be that. It could be if you love baking, but it does feel a little bit more like money focused and work focused, and especially when it comes to what you want to accomplish. When Mars goes in that 10th house, especially if your midheaven's there, you're going to definitely be more aware of, like, if you want to accomplish something related to your work that you haven't, you're probably going to feel that more. You are probably going to be more aware of it. You are probably going to just be motivated. I mean, that's what Mars does. It brings motivation and activity to an area of life. So lots of focus on where you're heading in career right now. And yeah, and like what you need to do to boost it or to nurture it or to support it. So it might even be a thing where it's like, I mean, just take this metaphor how it resonates to you, but let's say you're a YouTuber and you're like, well, what camera gear do I need to have the best channel? And you might not be buying it today, but you might be feeling motivated to get yourself to a place where you can invest into your career the way that you want to. Or your public image or your ultimate kind of not role and how you want to be seen, but like the work that you want to be doing. So I think it is possible for Libras around this time to be maybe desiring to learn something that will make them more qualified with Jupiter in the 9th and Mars in the 10th to do the next level of work. That's one possibility, but take it as it resonates. It's a general reading. There's lots and lots of people watching this and we all have different charts. So let's go on now to our next sign. Libras, feel free to check out my course, Unlock Your Aspects. I hope you join us. I'm running it live. It's very exciting. And we're going to go on to our next sign, which is going to be Scorpios. Okay, Scorpio, Mars enters your 9th house. So Mars was in the 8th house of transformation, sex, death, and other people's money. And now here it is in the 9th, which means you may have, if you have felt in August like you were pulled in a few directions, especially related to your intimate relationships, that might be getting consolidated into one direction. If you and your partner, let's say you're in a relationship, if you and your partner were scattered trying to solve a bunch of financial stuff, or just scattered with not being able, like, I want to say scattered intimacy. So like intimacy that just is like all over the place. Maybe now it's not all over the place. And now it's like, now we're doing this. Take that how it resonates. There's a bunch of ways that could apply. Now let's just set aside the partnership for those who are single or just those who that doesn't apply to. What were you doing last month related to finances and stuff? Because when Mars goes into the 8th house, sometimes you're more motivated to like pay off debt, or you have to pay off a debt, or like someone takes money from you or borrows money from you, you loan some money to someone, or you are caring a lot more about your like ability to, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Okay, you are caring more about your ability to pay off your debt, get interest, like have loans, or pay off loans, or take loans, or retire, Roth, IRA, retirement accounts, investments, these kind of things. These kind of things are more significant. So maybe now the dust has settled in that. Also, the 8th house being transformation and intimacy, Mars being there, sometimes you will have experiences that are maybe more sexual or intimate in nature that perhaps challenge you or have like had you grow in a way in the last month or so, because Mars will make you want to work on that area. So if it's not investing, it's trust. And if it's not trust, maybe it's talking to like mediumship and talking to like connecting with your spirit guide. So you'll have to see which one of those things applies. But now might be a time where it kind of calms down a bit. And with Mars in the 9th, you can really be motivated to defend your beliefs. You might need to defend your beliefs at some point during this transit, but you might also be just motivated to connect with your own beliefs and really kind of more aggressively or more excitedly be, learning spiritual things or attending spiritual gatherings, going to prayer groups or meditations or any other kind of thing you might do that is spiritual but it's Mars, so it might be like yoga type things where it's spiritual, but we're doing stuff, it's spiritual, but we're doing stuff to take care of people. based on your spiritual beliefs. That could be a bunch of different things. Now, whatever happens on the 4th, Scorpio, you're going to want to pay attention to, related to your beliefs or traveling, or, 6th house stuff is usually like work. What work are you doing that's making you feel closer to God? And maybe there's a desire to connect with spirit right now because you have some problems you want to use spirituality to solve. But then there's also, with Mars ruling you, it's like you're in the 9th house. You're studying some spiritual stuff. You're thinking about God. You're praying. Whatever your spiritual practice is. Now, let's say you're an atheist or agnostic and you're like, I don't even believe in God. Well, then you might be connecting to what is meaningful to you and what matters to you. And that could be anything, but whatever it is that you're connecting with that matters to you. Now, it could be typical 9th house stuff, like taking a flight, going to study something. What else? Taking a flight, going to study, doing something related to the law, going to university, spiritual studies. Yeah, that kind of stuff. So Mars going here, are you did you do a new course? Are you learning some new things? Are you, putting your eyes up, up and out toward the quest you want to be on? And maybe you are going on some kind of quest in life during this time. Pay attention to what happens on the 4th in terms of all those things. Your spiritual life, or going on a trip to solve some kind of problems, or just you being defending the law or defending your beliefs or defending someone else or protecting some kind of spiritual figure or something like that. Okay, we're going to go on to the next sign, which is Sag. Thank you, Scorpios. Join my aspects course. Join us. It's going to be so fun. And also check out the monthly if you haven't seen that yet. There's a whole monthly for all the signs for September. Okay, Sagittarius, we have you next. Okay, for everyone here in the chat, comment in the chat if you are enjoying this, it is resonating. Comment if you're waiting patiently for your sign to come up, what sign you are. I always love hearing from you guys when I'm doing these. All right, we are going to go to Sages. Okay, so for Sagittarius, we have, what do we have? Mars entering your 8th house. So Mars was in your 7th house. When Mars is in the 7th, people can piss you off a little bit more. They can fight with you. They can always want to annoy the shit out of you. If you're in a relationship, you could have had your partner just nag you more. Or fight with you more. So if you're in a relationship and you guys have been fighting, this might be a time where you find a way to come to peace, and there's a little bit more of an ability to, instead of just, I want this and I want this and meh, there's a little bit more of an ability to go a little bit deeper. Like, okay, well, why were you upset about this? And how can I understand this, your perspective, and just getting more intimate. Now, if that doesn't apply to you, that's fine. But your 7th house is the other people in your life. So it's who's around you. It might not be relationship people. It might be people at work. It might be people who are your best friends. Who are you dealing with in partnership? Who are you dealing with one-on-one? Those people may have been more, I don't know, combative, or there may have been more just energy around those relationships and feeling like you're getting pulled into a bunch of directions at once in your relationships. Now, if you're like, no, none of that makes sense, I'm totally by myself right now, I'm focusing on my own stuff, then this Mars in the 7th could have also been you focusing on your own stuff as it relates to others, or, going in a bunch of directions in general. Now, Mars, it rules your 12th house and it rules your 5th house. So, last month, 5th house ruler in the 7th could have given you, if you're single, more potentials in dating. or it could have given you more focus on bringing creative things to other people, or doing something creative, connecting with others for the purpose of something creative, or something like that. But now we have Mars moving into Cancer. In general, this is going to help you, especially for Sagittarius who have their own business. This will help you clarify whatever business ideas you've been having, like last month, that maybe were not quite cohesive yet. Now is the time to take cohesive action, and it's like the action can be a little bit more integrated, a little bit more one like streamlined and focused on one thing, cutting out the distractions that could have been happening in Gemini. So that 5th house can also be pleasure, and it goes into the 8th house of intimacy. So for Sagittarius who are single and wanting to, not be, there is a high potential during this time. I don't like to predict relationships on general because it's impossible. But like, if you're like, ooh, could it be? Yeah, it could be. You could meet someone who gets close to you really fast. Or you could find that if you're already dating, maybe the people you're already dating, now it's like you can cut out distractions and like date the one person, or really focus in and date and like focus on getting to know people. That's kind of what I feel like for this transit. You might be focused on getting to know people more deeply, if that is what you want to do. But Mars in the 8th can also be you wanting to transform, or wanting to change, or wanting to go beyond your limits. You can also be wanting to change something related to Cancer stuff, which is like your home or how you take care of yourself. And so maybe you're dealing with that. Maybe you're dealing with some fears that you have had that have come up in the past related to self-care, or related to pleasure. Okay, fears related to pleasure, whatever that might be. I do think the 5th ruler is like our self-expression, but it's going in the 8th house. So Sagittarius is, during this time, starting on the 4th, might find that they are more likely to feel like you can get to know people one-on-one better. You can express yourself and who you are with people one-on-one more, or with people you already know, and just make deeper connections. I do think this is a time for Sagittarius to make deeper connections, expand beyond your comfort zone, maybe face some fears. You might be initiating that because Mars in Cancer initiates. So you can, if you're someone who's like, I can't normally start conversations, you can draw on this Mars in Cancer to do that. You could also have people coming to you, Sagittarius, and telling you about their emotional crises and wanting you to help them, or, bringing their problems to you. Like, oh, my dog just died, and wanting to kind of cry on your shoulder during this time. That's another way that Mars in the 8th can show up. And let's consider that Mars also rules your 12th house, Sag. So it's like this 12th house of self-sabotage going into the 8th house. Very psychological houses, both of these. And so this could be that you start sharing your fears with people. Maybe you find one person that you can share your fears with, or you can talk about with, or it goes the other way. There's someone talking to you about their problems. Now, you might have people bitching at you more, because if we think of the 8th house, it's like what other people give you. And if someone gives you Mars, what do they give you? A punch in the face? You know what I mean? Like it's possible that the people that you know that you're connected to will have more discussions around bad things that people did to them, transgressions against them. It will be possible that a little more almost like trauma, but it doesn't feel like it has to be your trauma. Sometimes when it's the 8th house Mars, this can be other people's trauma, other people's, things, that trespasses that other people committed against them in general, right? So you just might be dealing with this topic a little more of hearing people say, oh yeah, this, even if you're like, let's say you're like a theta healer, this could be a time where like your clients are like, well, the last theta healer stole my aura. You know what I mean? And it's like, things like that, where it doesn't have to be they're bringing you trauma for you to like, get traumatized by, but like that kind of thing is what I'm thinking. All right, let me think of what else for Sagittarius. I think the best way to work with this Mars in the 8th is to really look at, ways you want to connect more deeply with other people and more intimately with other people will be possible. And, know that if you need defending during this time, you might find it through other people that you already know. You might find it. You might find that someone is supportive of you and can have the muscle and they can help you, support you in protecting you from something that is undesirable. And you may find that this is a time where you're just, there's just more of an awareness around other people's crises, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Maybe they're coming to you because you're the resource that's helping them. You're the inspiring Sagittarius that can, be like, no worries. Okay, that horrible thing happened. Let's look at the positive. Maybe hopefully not exactly in that way. But really, think about all these things happening, all these areas of life related to intimacy, other people's money, investing. Some of you might really want to invest. You might feel motivated to invest your money or, learn about investing or look at how you could initiate having an investment account or, things like insurance or things like taxes and inheritance and things might come up, but it could also just be you being like, all right, I need to deal with my finances, and then you taking that on or something like that. So that's what I have for Sagittarius, and we're going to go on to the next sign, which is going to be Capricorns. Sagittarius, let me know how it resonates, and also you guys, Sagittarius, check out my aspects course. I would love to see you in that. It starts this month. It's going to be live. I'm so excited about it. Click the link below for more on that. Okay, so let's see the comments here. We got a couple comments. We had Virgo rising was having distractions, J-No-Lo, for the past month from being able to start my next work project. Also wasn't really finding any groups I wanted to join when I look for them. So here's hoping. Yes, here's hoping. Hoping, and here's the rest of the comment. Hoping that one or both of those things change now. Lucy is saying, yes, I'm a Sag and trauma is at the forefront for me. Hopefully not too bad for you, Lucy. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to our Capricorns. All right, Cappies. For Capricorns, whoops, we got to get to your actual sign here. Mars is entering your 7th house. So a little warning here. For Capricorns in a relationship, sometimes when Mars is in the 7th, you end up like your partner will fight with you more. You get in more fights. So it doesn't mean your relationship ends, right? It just means during this time of the cycle, you're bickering. And because it's in Cancer, it's like there might be angry crying going on. That's a possibility. It might not be though. There's other ways this can show up if you're a Capricorn who's in a partnership, like you're getting more active with your partner. Mars can describe your partner where like they're doing more activities, they're busier. Or maybe you're busier together. If you're a single Capricorn, this can make, it's almost like it can make your love life busier, but it's more like if you are a single Capricorn who wants to have a long-term thing, or you're dating and you want long-term, it can stimulate your desire to have that. It doesn't mean it will happen during this time, but that it might be something you're motivated about and you want to focus on. Relationships might be something that you're motivated and want to focus on. If you're in a career stage where you're just building it up and you don't have a lot of, you're not dating anyone or anything, it can also be your clients. If you have one-on-one clients, one-on-one connections, one-on-one relationships. Now we have Mars for you rules your 4th house of home. And it also rules your 11th house of friends. So this is a time because, so the signification of the 11th ruler and the 7th is friends become not lovers, but like boyfriend, girlfriend, long-term relationship. So you could, if you want one, go out in public and talk to other humans in public, or find one in an existing friend group or a support group or any kind of group you go to, Capricorn, because that's the potential here. It doesn't mean like you're guaranteed for that, but like if you want to know what the energy is supporting, that's what it's supporting. And with Mars ruling the fourth, that's your family. Your family and your emotions become a topic related to other people. So this is the time I see Capricorns, and I know you guys don't always want to get this warm and fuzzy, but I do see Capricorns dealing with things that are more intimate, more emotional, more vulnerable. And I know you guys probably may not necessarily like that, but you might be like, I want to, and I want to try. The fourth house rules like how we feel deep down. And the seventh house is like connections with other people. So you might be connecting with people on how you feel deep down, and they might be connecting with you on how they feel deep down. Okay, so that being said, Mars rules the 11th house. I talked about the lovers thing, but let's talk about just friendships and not relationship related. Someone you know could become a more closely, someone you work more closely with when it comes to your like partnership. So it's almost like partnering up with someone you already know, finding someone at a workspace who is going to, why do I keep doing this today? Just like losing my train of thought, guys. Someone at a workspace, like you meet someone at a workspace who could be more like a business partner or a collaborator on something, like you just meet someone who wants to do a podcast with you or something like that. So there's a potential to make connections for friends or for business in groups at this time. So that would be one way to work with this energy, is to know that that's a thing and go with it. Okay, so then the next thing, what else do I want to tell you guys? Let me think. Fourth house doesn't just rule how you feel, though. It also rules home. Your house might be a topic of discussion with other people. Your house might be something, especially if you have like roommates. Maybe you're talking to your roommates about the house, or maybe it's possible some Capricorns might be hiring people to do some work in the house at this time. So think about all those things we just said and consider on the 4th, that's on, what is that, Wednesday? Consider on Wednesday how those areas of life change, how that changes for you. And know that this will be a more significant transit for you because it's in your 7th house, so it's angular, which means it has more power. And worst case scenario on this one would be like people are fighting with you. People are arguing with you. You have someone coming at you. The descendant is where other people exist. The descendant is like where all the other people are. And Mars is a jerk. Now, maybe everyone's not a jerk. Maybe they're all fighters. Maybe they're all athletes. Maybe there's a training at your work on like setting boundaries or doing Martian things. Maybe people are learning how to express their anger and deal with their emotions. But if you have more whiny, cranky, angry, cryy type people around you during this time, I'm sorry this is going to be a longer one, but it could be that. And then again, there's also the potential of closeness and initiating close relationships regardless of what sign Mars is in. And for you, I would say this is even stronger. So Capricorn, go out there and get some friends. I'm just kidding. Deepen your relationships with the people you're already with. Create more trust with people. And I mean, if you want to, that energy is yours to do. Okay. And for some reason, I feel like saying that doesn't mean I'm perfect at it all the time. I'm just telling you what the energy is good for, and it is up to you. Okay. Next, Aquarius. Shout out to my Aquariuses. All right. For Aquarius, let's get it on your sign. For Aquarius, Mars enters that 6th house, making you busy. Mars will make you busy in the 6th. But at least it's in Cancer where I know Mars in Cancer doesn't get a good rap, but it makes me feel like you might actually accomplish something because you might initiate some kind of project. That project could be for work, it could be for fun, it could be a chore you have to do around the house. That project might be initiated around the 4th or during the time that Mars is in Cancer, which will be until February. It goes retrograde in December. We'll talk more on that later. But right now, just know Mars is going to help you pick up the pace. Mars has been in your 5th house, maybe making you feel all over the place with your creativity, maybe making you feel like you had to do a million things if you have a business with your business, making you really busy dealing with your kids, making you really busy just, I don't know, let me think. Expressing yourself, being the artist. You could be the artist at your house. There's 27 started projects, 27 started paintings, and apply that to what makes sense for you. Now maybe you'll go in and finish one of them or a few of them, and not be quite so trying to do everything at once. The ability to start something around the 4th or so, or a little bit after, and continue that thing and maintain it is high because of the cardinal nature of Cancer. And Mars can hang on to these things. So the way to use that to your advantage is start something you want to be committed to. And it's probably going to be for work, or it's probably going to be for your health, or it's probably going to be to solve a problem or something. Mars rules your 3rd house and your 10th house. So when the 10th house ruler is in the 6th, it's almost like your job gives you a bunch of busy work. Your job gives you a bunch of overtime. Your job is causing a need to be busier. Why would that happen? Well, because there's more work to be done. Maybe you just have more work to do, and maybe it's frustrating a little bit, but that might be what's happening. There might be a new project, work-related project. You might be trying to fix things at your work, like fixing physical things, or trying to repair things, or trying to make things better, streamlining processes, updating spreadsheets, whatever you do for work, actually, I should say, having conversations with people, doing things to improve the workflow, improve the process, improve the way work happens might be going on. But the thing is, it's for some people, it might be unpaid work that you're doing, especially if you have your own business. It could be you got to work you got to talk to your assistant more and make them feel better because they're upset all the time right now. And you get nothing more out of that. It's just something you have to do. Or, you got to train someone on something. And it's nurturing and fostering relationships at work would be some keywords for Aquarius. That might be how it shows up is at work. Sometimes Mars in the 6th isn't at work, especially since it rules your 3rd house. Maybe your car's in the shop and you gotta have a rental or something, or your car's getting fixed, your car's getting improved. But it could also be something that makes your life require more action. But it's not like you're gonna get benefits tomorrow. It's not like you go do, maybe it's overtime and you do get the benefit. But for some, it might not be. It might be something you're learning after work that you don't get paid for right now, but you're going to, so you decide to make the investment. Because Mars in the 6th is energy you put on problems. It doesn't necessarily, it's not like a time where you're oh, I'm doing all these things and my business is growing and everything's soaring. It feels more like a time where if you work at a warehouse, everyone has to clean the warehouse. It doesn't make more work happen. It's getting the warehouse to where it needs to be in the first place. So you're getting things to where they need to be in the first place during this transit. And that can be in any area of life. Work is definitely a potential place, but it could also be at your home. It could be in your bedroom, whatever, just getting things. And I mean that your physical room, but whatever. The point is getting things where they need to be and putting in the action. to do the sacrifice work to get things to where they need to be might be the theme of this transit. That's one possibility for Aquariuses. So what I would see here is, what I would say, I guess, is pay attention to what new work needs to be done on the 4th of September and what kind of begins related to projects that take more of your time than normal. And it might be a labor of love that you've always wanted to be doing. And finally you're like, yes, I get to work on my car now. Or yes, I get to read this book that I've been wanting to read. Or yes, I get to get my craft room all set up or whatever. Okay, so we are going to go on now to our next sign. So that's what I have for Aquarius. It makes you busier. You can work with the energy by making sure you're putting your energy into the things that are really going to improve things, and making sure that you don't put too much energy on helping others if you shouldn't be. Don't be too much of giving your energy away to things that are not going to support you in the long run. Okay, going on to the next sign, which is Pisces. Aquarius, check out the link for the aspect video. The aspect course I'm running. I'd love to see you in there. Okay, Pisces. Let's get into this. For Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising, Mars enters that 5th house of the fun house. I really love it when Mars goes into the 5th house because I get to say that, but also because it stimulates your love life, your creativity, your passion. The 5th house is pleasure. So Mars in the 5th can mean you want pleasure, and that's fine. Like, you want to feel good. You want to do things that you enjoy. You might want to date. Sometimes Mars in the 5th will bring more like banter and like flirtation sometimes. So if you're a Pisces who's single and wants to date, it could be that. If you're in a relationship, it can possibly bring more, especially with Venus in the 8th, maybe something going on with your love life where it could actually go either way, Pisces, but maybe changes in intimacy or focus on intimacy in the love life might be going on. Other 5th house topics are kids, so if you're Pisces who wants a kid, this could just make you be thinking about how you want a kid. If you have a kid, it might be you dealing with stuff with your child and really, really needing to kind of guard them and protect them and take care of them more now than normal for some reason. And other things Mars in the 5th can do, make you want to express yourself more, make you want to put yourself out there more, do creative things more. And, Mars is your money planet. So your money ruler in the 5th can also be, you want to spend your money on things you enjoy. You want to spend your money on dating. You are spending your money on dating. You are investing into dating. You are investing into having fun. You are spending some time doing things that are having fun and nourishing your soul. So there is the potential to really enjoy Mars in the 5th for Pisces. And again, sometimes this can bring some chemistry into your love life as well. So whether you're single or coupled, you can rely on and draw from that chemistry and that sort of uptick in energy. Sometimes the uptick in energy doesn't go in a positive direction. Sometimes, if Pisces are dating right now, maybe you date some people who are assholes. Maybe your dates are super emotionally defensive and you're just like, oh my God, stop, right? It could be that, or someone you're already dating. If you're a Pisces who's already dating someone, but it's not long-term yet, maybe they're really emotional right now. And the downside of that, if that's true, it's going to last until February. And that doesn't mean your date has to last that long, or that, like, I don't know, but just that the energy of that theme showing up in your life. Other ways it could show up, again, you investing into creativity. Now that could be your time. You putting your money on things that make you happy, you investing in your own business, you investing into initiating something in your business that maybe you're doing some upgrades to do, and maybe that is something that is like nourishing or supporting to other people. If you have a business, if you don't have a business, that's not for you. ninth house ruler in the fifth, that's going to be your spiritual life brings more pleasure, or you want to have your meaningful beliefs contribute to enjoying your life. So it might be where you're relying on spiritual processes, tools, activities, authors, all that good stuff about what you believe to support you in feeling okay, or, taking care of yourself on an emotional level, or something about your spirituality might be something you're expressing to people more, and maybe you're enjoying that a little bit. Maybe you're talking about your beliefs to people, and maybe you're talking about your beliefs to people you're dating. Maybe you're listening to them talk about their beliefs. Maybe you're having a little banter about that. Maybe not. And maybe, let's see, I'm thinking of other ways. Ninth house ruler in the fifth, dating a foreigner could be a thing. A foreigner who you've been talking to online comes and sees you. Someone from a group or a class hits on you, or there's a little bit of tension there. It could also be not in a dating way, right? The fifth house is also fun that is not just with a lover, right? So you can't have fun without sex. But I mean, Mars in the ninth to the fifth, maybe someone you're in a class with becomes a friend and you do something fun. Maybe someone from a ninth house activity, such as the law, such as astrology classes, courses, other countries who you're somehow connected to in a distant way. Anyone like that maybe becomes a friend, and you initiate, or they initiate a hangout together. Something like that. And what else? Let me think of what else I can connect with for Pisces. With Saturn in the first, it does feel like in general, life gets kind of hard when Saturn's in your first. You end up working hard, making more sacrifices. And so I feel like Mars in the fifth in Cancer might actually help with bringing some relief to some of the constant kind of grueling pace that Saturn makes you go at, or the constant grind Saturn might make you have. I also think, Mars was in your fourth house, Pisces, of home. Maybe bringing more activity to your home, bringing a little more conflict, or making your home life a little bit more all over the place, or making you almost like more active at home. Why? Well, maybe because you had to stay home more for something. Maybe because you couldn't go out as much for some other reason. More active in your emotional life of like journaling how you feel or thinking about how you feel. Whereas now it's like, really for all of us, whatever we've been brainstorming and trying to get going, or kind of going in a million directions with, there's an ability to kind of focus in now and commit to and start and initiate and launch, or just do the things we want to be doing instead of going in circles thinking about it. So if you relate to any of that, it's going to show up in your self-expression, your fun, your pleasure. So like maybe you're going to do some activity that you really enjoy. Maybe you're going to go buy some concert tickets, or do something else during this transit that's like, I got to enjoy my life more. Maybe it's just a time of year where the activities you like to do are the popular activities, and you're going to be going and doing them. It could be that as well. All right. What else do I have for Pisces? I honestly like this one for you, even though Mars in Cancer by itself isn't necessarily the easiest energy. It trines your ascendant and maybe gives a little more energy, life force energy, ability to kind of express yourself, put your mark on the world, be who you are. And while you've been in this phase where Saturn's kind of slowed that down a bit. So I think there are some things you can enjoy during this transit. And I would say pay attention to dating, starting the fourth, romance, in existing relationships. Pay attention to chemistry between friends, and the ability to like connect with each other and like have fun with people, and in a way that is like therapeutic and healing, because that is all feeling like it's related. And also pay attention to what you might be launching if you have your own business, what you might be ready to really focus in on and get clear on and like streamline and move toward in a nurture. What are you nurturing? And if you have a baby, it's you taking care of your baby. And that is just, that's just the time. If you have a child who needs support, this is you putting your energy into supporting your child. But even if you don't have a baby, what's your metaphorical baby right now that you're pouring your life force energy into and being yourself in order to like support, maintain, and grow? So that's what I have for Pisces. Let me know in a comment if it relates. I always love hearing from you. And I want to tell you guys two things. One, the monthlies are out, so feel free to go check those out. Lots of people have been enjoying them, and it goes for Sun, Moon, and Rising just like this. But instead of this one transit, it tells you about what's happening in September. Also, I'm doing a course. I'm going to show you guys this course I'm running and why you should join it and why it's going to be awesome. Because it's going to be on aspects, and I think you guys are really going to like it. People have been asking me for this, so that's what we're doing. So here we are. We're going to check this out. And let me find it here. There's a direct link in there somewhere. So this is a 6-week live course that teaches you how to read aspects yourself. So if you have ever kind of got stuck when you're reading aspects, if you want to know more insight on how aspects show up in your life, if you want to learn house rulership, how to apply that to aspects, if you've ever like Googled an aspect, tried to understand it and felt limited, that's where your understanding ended and you didn't know how to go further to deepen your understanding, that is what I'm going to teach in this course. And I think it's going to be fun, but here's what you need to know. It's not going to be like, oh, I'm going to tell you every in-depth psychological meaning of every single thing, because you can just buy a book and do that. It's going to teach you how to delineate it yourself in your own way so you can find meanings that you won't find in books. And that means you're going to have to do a little bit of work. So if you want to do something that is like, oh, I just want it done for me, I want someone to tell me every aspect of my chart, you should book a private reading with me and I'll do that. Maybe not every aspect, but the significant ones. But if you want to know when an aspect is in your chart, how to like piece it apart, if you have a stellium, if you have a square and a trine to the same planet, and you don't know how to read them all, those are the things we're going to cover. So what you get is you get instant access to the fundamentals of aspect reading, which is videos that are already made, sitting there waiting for you to enjoy on the signs, planets, dignities, North and South Node, and Pluto and Chiron. Okay, so this is going to give you some of the foundations that we're going to draw from. And so we're going to talk about what aspects are, classical versus major and minor. We're going to touch on things from traditional and modern astrology. We're going to do planetary relationships. So how the planets relate to each other and what the real connections are with aspects so you know how to read them. So when you get stuck, you can go back to this process. We're going to do planetary pairs. So we will be talking about the planets from Sun to Pluto and what they mean in pairs. And it considers the relationship between the aspect, and then you're expected to apply this. So what I don't do is Sun, trine, moon, Sun, square, moon, Sun, opposite, moon. I just do Sun, moon. And then you get to apply that and you get to learn, because we're going to pull it apart. We're not just going to put it all together as one set menu. We're going to pull the pieces apart so you can apply them and integrate them. Okay, we're going to talk about house rulership. This is how you know what area of life and aspect is going to affect you. It is so important that learning this changed my astrology readings like 1,000%. Like they made them so much better. This is when people started really booking with me, guys, is when I learned house rulership. So don't sleep on this. You need to know rulership. Even if you're like, I don't know what that means. Here's what it means. Every planet in your chart means something different for you than it does for everyone else based on your rising sign. Mars in your chart might represent your money, or it might represent your career, or it might represent your friends, or your partner's money, or your partner, or your work, or your creativity. And by understanding house rulership, you know which one of those things it is, which is where you start from, one of the places you start from when you're reading an aspect to a planet. Then we're going to talk about aspects to points, aspect patterns, what to do for the complicated stuff. So this is where we get into the really good stuff of like what to do when a planet has a square and a trine, what to do when there is an aspect and then another aspect, and do they cancel each other out? How to tell if an aspect is good or bad, that kind of thing. And then we're going to do a whole other live of putting this together, and you are allowed to ask questions during the lives. So you get 6 weeks of live instruction from me. Each live is at least an hour, probably closer to 1.5. And you get downloadable guides that you can check out to support your learning. It starts September 21st at 2 p.m. and you enroll by clicking this button. But here's what you need to know. This is an exclusive live course. So even though the live videos are going to, the recorded videos are going to be there in the course, if you want to get on live with me, you got to join this one. I don't usually repeat my live courses. If I do, it's a rare occasion. So sometimes people think, oh, I'll just take the next one. There's no next one. Get in this one with me. Get in this one with me if you want that direct connection and contact and ability to, ask me questions so that you're getting the support you need on your journey of learning about aspects. So that is what it is. And of course, you guys know me. Most of you know me. But for anyone who doesn't, I help people get clarity on their next steps, understand themselves deeper. People describe my readings as accurate and spot on. But, I also really do believe that we need to understand our inner world, because that's how we make decisions and we can live our best life in the outer world. But I am a Western tropical astrologer, and in this course we will be doing Western tropical astrology, some modern, some traditional, and that's what we're going to do. So I hope you join. I would love to see you in there. I think it's going to be amazing. And, the lives start on the 21st, but the content that's already in the course is available now. So the sooner you join, the sooner you have access to over 10 hours of video lessons from me on all of the major foundations of aspect reading. So I hope you join. I would love to see you in there. And that's what I have for that. So I think that is where we're going to stop for today. I hope you guys have an amazing holiday. I hope you enjoy the holiday for those who have a holiday today. I know some of you are in other countries. And feel free to check out the September monthlies. If you want to watch those, they are up. And I will see you beautiful souls in the next video. Bye, guys.